before it became a Hollywood legend, it was nothing more than a wreck, twisted metal waiting for the crusher. Yet somehow, this forgotten 1973 Corvette rose from the ashes to become one of the most controversial cars ever captured on film. It wasn't just customized, it was reinvented, turned into something so radical that Corvette purists still argue whether it should even exist. This is Kenny's 1973 custom Corvette from Corvette Summer, a car born from junk and transformed into a symbol of cinematic insanity, a creation that dared to move its steering wheel to the wrong side, glow like molten fire under the desert sun, and defy every law written in the Corvette Bible. But why did the studio allow such madness? Who was bold enough to design a steering system powered by motorcycle chains? And how did one of these wild machines end up across the ocean in Australia, decades after the credits rolled? Today, we're not just talking about a movie prop. We're opening the secret file on a legend. Welcome to 20 weird facts about Kenny's 1973 custom Corvette, the car that broke every rule and still refused to die. Number 20, born in the junkyard. Every legend has an unlikely beginning, but few start in a scrapyard. The Corvette that would become a Hollywood icon was once a wreck, smashed and abandoned, its frame bent beyond saving. MGM's producers didn't want a pristine collector's car. They needed a body they could destroy without guilt. And so, deep in a sunburnt Los Angeles junkyard, they found it. A rear-ended 1973 Stingray, broken but still breathing. They bought it for pennies. The car's fiberglass panels were cracked, the chassis twisted, and the engine coughed its last breath. Yet to the right hands, it wasn't a corpse. It was raw potential. That wreck would soon become a canvas for madness, sculpted into something no Corvette had ever dared to be. Ironically, while hundreds of mint-condition Stingrays slept untouched in air-conditioned garages, this ruined one would become immortal. Immortalized not by perfection, but by imperfection. A car that refused to die, resurrected under the California sun, destined to glow brighter than any showroom queen ever could. Number 19, reimagined by Corky's Custom Studio. When MGM needed a magician, they called Dick Korkis of Corky's Custom Studio, a legend among LA customizers. Korkis didn't restore cars, he reinvented them. The 1973 Corvette arrived in pieces, a wounded beast, but in Korkis's hands, it became a sculpture of excess, fiberglass flowing like molten art. Every line, every scoop, every exaggerated curve was built by hand. No bolt-on kits, no templates, just imagination, resin, and grit. Korkis wanted a Corvette that didn't look like a Corvette, a car that screamed rebellion in an era obsessed with conformity. Weeks turned into months. The wreck vanished beneath layers of fiberglass until a new creature emerged. Half alien, half American dream. It wasn't about beauty, it was about audacity. Korkis knew that this machine would divide opinions forever, and that's exactly what he wanted. Number 18, 2 cars, 1 legend. Here's a secret most movie fans never knew. There wasn't just one Corvette Summer car, there were 2. MGM, ever cautious, commissioned a hero car for close-ups and a backup for stunts and publicity. Both were nearly identical, but subtle differences told them apart. A slightly different engine tone, a missing trim piece, a unique scratch on the right fender. The hero car bore the burden of cinematic glory. It was the one Mark Hamill drove, immortalized under neon lights and desert sunsets. The twin, meanwhile, toured car shows, surviving eager fans who touched, leaned, and dreamed. Years later, collectors would fight over which one was real. The truth? Both were. 2 halves of the same myth. Built for different purposes, united by legend. As one fan put it, Hollywood magic means sometimes there's more than one star. Number 17, the right-hand drive paradox. In a country where every car drives on the right, someone decided this Corvette should drive from the right. Madness? Absolutely. But with a purpose. The film's young hero, Kenny, needed to talk to girls standing on the Vegas sidewalks, flirt through the window, and banter without leaning across an empty seat. For the camera, it looked natural. For the driver, it was a nightmare. Converting a Corvette to right-hand drive wasn't just unusual, it was nearly impossible. Everything had to be mirrored. The dash, pedals, steering column, wiring harness. The crew called it Hollywood logic. Beautiful on screen, terrible in reality. Mark Hamill later joked that it felt like driving in reverse through a funhouse mirror, yet that single decision made the car unforgettable. It gave Corvette Summer its strange personality, a rebel even in the way it sat on the road. Sometimes cinematic beauty demands mechanical madness. Number 16, chain-driven steering. Once the steering moved to the right, engineers faced an impossible puzzle: how to connect it back to the steering box still mounted on the left. The answer was something no sane mechanic would attempt: a motorcycle-style chain drive. Hidden beneath the dash, a heavy-duty roller chain linked two sprockets, transferring motion across the cockpit. It was a crude, brilliant hack, ingenious enough to work, dangerous enough to fear. The chain clanked, stretched, and needed constant oiling. One wrong move, and the car would steer itself into chaos. But for the film's slow Vegas cruises, it was good enough for Hollywood. No fancy hydraulics, no custom rack and pinion, just a motorcycle chain holding a dream together. Number 15, the clamshell hood before its time. Before Chevrolet ever introduced the clamshell hood on the 1984 C4 Corvette, this movie car had already done it. The entire front clip, nose, fenders, hood flipped forward in one dramatic motion. It was theater on hinges. When opened, the car looked like it was screaming, jaws wide under the desert sun. The setup wasn't for convenience, it was for spectacle. On film, every time Kenny lifted that hood, it wasn't just maintenance, it was revelation. The hydraulic struts groaned under the fiberglass's weight, but the effect was cinematic perfection. Hollywood needed drama. This Corvette gave it, one hinge at a time. Number 14, the fake scoops. Count them, 9 scoops, vents, and openings across the body. They looked functional, but most were pure theater. Some hinted at brake cooling or air intake, but many led nowhere. They were sculpted illusions, serving the eye, not the engine. This was 1970s custom culture, louder, flashier, unapologetically excessive. The scoops made the car look alive, as if it were inhaling the air around it. Even standing still, it seemed to breathe. Corvette purists called it a fiberglass fever dream. But cinema doesn't worship function, it worships form, and these fake vents made sure every frame burned into your memory. Number 13, paint of fire and sunset. If color could scream, this one did. The car's paint wasn't just red, it was a layered masterpiece of metal flake, translucent orange, and molten gold. Under sunlight, it glowed like a sunset caught in motion. Each flake acted like a mirror, bouncing light across the fiberglass curves until the whole car shimmered like liquid fire. This wasn't a paint job, it was an illusion of heat, a moving inferno. The cost? More than the entire wreck they started with. The process required precision, clean rooms, multiple curing stages, and gallons of clear coat that made the finish look eternally wet. Fans later said it best: you could spot that car from blocks away. The paint didn't just cover the Corvette, it defined it. Number 12, no bumpers, no mercy. In the 1970s, federal law demanded that every car have bumpers capable of surviving a 5 mph collision. Corvette Summer laughed at that. The car's front and rear were pure fiberglass, sculpted smooth, without a trace of chrome or protection. No impact zone, no safety compliance, nothing but art. For MGM, legality didn't matter. This wasn't a street car, it was a screen car. The absence of bumpers made it sleeker, meaner, and perfect for close-ups. Every curve flowed uninterrupted, reflecting the neon of Las Vegas like liquid light. To drive it legally was impossible. To look at it, hypnotic. The car wasn't built for the road, it was built for legend. Number 11, the square headlights heresy. Pop-up headlights were sacred to Corvette fans, mysterious eyes that blinked awake at night. Corky Studio dared to delete them. In their place, 4 square-sealed beams, borrowed from an ordinary Chevrolet Caprice. To purists, it was sacrilege. To filmmakers, it was genius. The square lights fit the car's angular, aggressive face, giving it a perpetual glare. They photographed beautifully, always visible, always ready. No waiting for motors to rise, no mechanical delays during a take. The result? A face that looked alive, alert, slightly unhinged. Sometimes to make art, you have to offend the faithful. Number 10, exhaust built into the body. Traditional side pipes bulge outward, burning ankles and breaking lines. Corvette Summer's designers buried them instead, tucking the mufflers into the rocker panels, making the exhaust part of the body itself. It was clean, futuristic, and absurdly hot. The idea demanded custom heat shielding, precision welding, and the courage to risk melting fiberglass. Stand next to the car while it idled, and you could feel the heat radiate through the paint. It wasn't practical, it wasn't safe, but on screen it looked flawless. A seamless body with the growl of a caged animal underneath. Number 9. The wheels that defined a decade. The finishing touch came from a set of Western turbine wheels. Fin-spoked aluminum icons of 1970s excess. They shimmered under light, spinning like silver blades even when the car stood still. These weren't Corvette rally wheels, they were declarations of rebellion. On film, the fins caught every highlight, creating hypnotic motion blur. When the car cruised the Vegas Strip, the wheels looked alive, like fans feeding air into a fire. Collectors later hunted them down. Original Western turbines from the movie now fetch thousands, a reminder that sometimes style becomes history. Number 8. The dyed black interior illusion. When the cameras rolled, the Corvette's interior looked pitch black, cool, menacing, cinematic. But it was all an illusion. The car originally had a tan interior, the standard 1973 color. Instead of reupholstering, the crew simply dyed everything. Seats, carpet, panels, black. Fast, cheap, and good enough for film. Up close, you could still see traces of the original color beneath the seams. Over time, the dye wore off, revealing hints of the Corvette's true past. It was, in a way, poetic. A disguise that slowly faded, exposing what lay beneath the glamour. One fan later commented, "You can literally see the brown under the piping." They were right. Hollywood had once again proven, if it looks good on camera, that's all that matters. Number 7. Mild engine, wild looks. Beneath all the fiberglass fury sat something surprisingly ordinary. A stock L48 350 small block V8, producing just 190 horsepower. That's right. The wildest looking Corvette in history was, mechanically, a kitten. But that mildness was intentional. The movie car didn't need to win races, it needed to survive filming. The L48 was reliable, easy to start and cool under the Nevada heat. While the car looked like it could devour the road, its heart beat calmly, steadily, Hollywood's best-kept irony. Later, owners would bolt on performance parts to make it roar like its image promised, but during filming, simplicity was survival. As one mechanic said, "We didn't need power, we needed takes." Number 6. The tunnel ram afterlife. After filming Wrapped, someone decided the car wasn't outrageous enough. They added a tunnel ram intake with twin 4-barrel Holley carburetors, pure show car madness. The setup looked spectacular under that clamshell hood, chrome pipes, braided lines, gleaming fuel rails. It was mechanical jewelry, useless but mesmerizing. For real driving, it was terrible. No low-end torque, bad throttle response, constant flooding. But at car shows, when the hood lifted, crowds gasped. The movie car had evolved again. Less a machine, more a monument. Even decades later, photos of that version circulate online, half the comments saying, "That's not how it was in the movie," and the other half replying, "Yeah, but it looks insane." Number 5. The mold that survived. Most movie props are lost to time, scrapped, forgotten, destroyed. But not this one. The original fiberglass mold used to create the Corvette Summer body still exists, carefully preserved inside the National Corvette Museum in Bowling Green, Kentucky. The irony is poetic. The Temple of Corvette Purity now protects the blueprints of its most blasphemous child. Massive and eerie, the mold captures every vent, curve, and ripple of the car's chaotic design. Visitors who see it describe an odd feeling, part reverence, part disbelief. It's like standing before an artifact from a parallel universe, one where Corvette engineers had gone mad with imagination. That mold represents more than a car. It's a preserved rebellion, proof that even the wildest dreams of 1970s custom culture can outlive the decades sitting quietly inside a museum once sworn to reject them. Number 4. The Australian Odyssey. After the movie Wrapped, the twin cars took separate paths. One remained in the US, the other vanished overseas. Decades later, enthusiasts tracked it down to Australia, where right-hand drive finally made sense. It had been modified, repainted, repowered, each owner leaving a signature. Photos from the 2000s showed it restored, its fire sunset paint revived under the southern sun. "Still alive here in Australia," one fan proudly commented. Against all odds, the outlaw Corvette had found a home in a land of outlaws. Its exile completed the myth. A car built in Hollywood, reborn down under. a perfect ending for a machine that never followed rules. Number 3. The auction controversy. In 2013, the Volo Auto Museum listed a Corvette Summer car for sale, and chaos erupted online. Was it the real movie car or one of the replicas? Collectors argued, experts debated, and fans flooded comment sections with theories. In truth, the auctioned car was a promotional build, made for car shows, not filming. But nobody cared. Nostalgia doesn't ask for paperwork. The bids soared, proving one thing. People didn't just love the car, they loved what it represented. One commenter summed it up perfectly. "We all grew up dreaming of that wild Corvette. Owning it means owning a piece of our youth." Number 2. The people who remember. For many, Corvette Summer wasn't just a movie, it was a memory of youth, drive-ins, and dreams. Fans who saw it in 1978 still remember the rush. "I was 12 when this came out," one wrote. "Everyone wanted that Corvette." Another added, "It was on my top 3 cars, right next to the General Lee and Smokey and the Bandit Trans Am." The car didn't just represent speed, it represented freedom, rebellion, identity. It was the dream of every kid staring at posters on their bedroom wall, wishing they could cruise down the Vegas Strip with the same reckless confidence. Decades later, that same energy still lingers. It's not about horsepower, it's about the feeling of being unstoppable. Number 1. The meaning of madness. In the end, Corvette Summer wasn't just a movie about a car, it was a story about transformation. A wreck resurrected, a misfit turned icon. Its message was unmistakable. Greatness can rise from garbage if you dare to build differently. The car broke laws, defied design logic, and outraged purists. Yet 50 years later, it's remembered more vividly than most perfect Corvettes. It stood for everything Hollywood once celebrated: excess, audacity, and the belief that style could conquer sense. Today, when visitors see it, or what remains of it, they don't see flaws. They see proof that imperfection can be immortal. Sometimes, the craziest ideas are the ones that last forever. Before we uncover the final truth behind Corvette Summer, take a second. If stories like this ignite your passion, hit subscribe and tell us, which fact blew your mind the most? Because what comes next is not just the end of a story, it's the heart of its legend. The car that Hollywood once mocked now rests in reverence. What was once seen as a gaudy experiment is now praised as art. From junkyard trash to museum treasure, Kenny's 1973 custom Corvette proved that rebellion sometimes outlives perfection. Its mold sits in a sacred hall. Its twin roams Australia. Its fans, decades older now, still smile when they remember the first time they saw that glowing orange beast under neon lights. In a world obsessed with flawless design, this car was a mistake that mattered. It wasn't engineered for comfort, speed, or fame. It was engineered for emotion, and emotion never fades. Corvette Summer wasn't just a movie car. It was the spirit of risk, creativity, and chaos, molded into fiberglass. It dared to be ugly, loud, impractical, and unforgettable. Sometimes the wildest dreams are born from wreckage. And if you ever doubt the power of imagination, remember this: a broken Corvette once taught Hollywood how to dream again.